and welcome to the early December edition of No Prize Podcast. I am the professor, and this is Johnny the Machine Hughes, and we
Hola.
have Lucas is off on special assignment today, so who knows? Maybe he'll pop in. But we will talk about. We have lots of stuff to talk about.
We have lots of stuff to talk about. It has been cinematic. Well, it's been TV drop heaven, hasn't it? Really, if you think about
It,
it.
it really has been kind of winding down. We're winding down the year with new Disney product, and we're kind of looking ahead to 2023. And I can't wait for a certain thing that we're going to talk about.
Ooh,
But
really?
at the end of the year, we always have like some really good stuff coming from Disney Plus. But the comic side's kind of a little slow down. But we'll get there. So we had the finale of Andor.
Yes, we did.
Well, what did you think, Johnny?
Well, I've got to say that I quite enjoyed it. To be honest, I kind of. Oh, it's a small picture. I will say that I did think the cynic in me, and that's quite a large part of me. To be
Right.
honest, the cynic in me was very much. Well, there was much ado about nothing, wasn't it? It
Uh,
seemed like a lot of steps to get to where we knew we was going to get to.
You know what
And
this
then,
season felt like to me was just planting seeds. It's
yeah,
it's. I feel like next season will probably be where we start seeing the results of this season, right?
I hope so, because I mean, for me there was a couple of things that happened that were massive, and yet didn't get a lot of screen time. So, for example, Mon Mothma's daughter being introduced to the gangster's son.
Mm-hmm.
Huge thing when you think of how strong she was in the conviction that was never going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that turnabout for me was probably more interesting than Andor signing up with the rebellion to
Yeah.
an extent, because I think, well, the Andor universe, whilst we you've mentioned it before, is murkier than the generic Star Wars universe.
Much
There's like,
murkier. Yeah.
yeah, there's no black or white. It is shades of grey all the way through. Um, so I would have liked to have seen that element played up a lot more than it was, because Andor's going to end up where he ends up, because we've seen Rogue One. We know that's going to happen.
Right. Right.
So for me, it's the journey of the secondary characters that make it interesting. But like the stirring rebellion on the planet with his mother's funeral, for example,
Mm,
powerful stuff. The drums beating and everyone kind of, this is as you said, the seeds. Um,
yeah.
of course, the Imperial guy that's on his trail, that hasn't been resolved. The
Mm-hmm.
the Imperial officer, that hasn't been resolved. Um, so for me, I kind of agree with you. It is about setting the pieces up for the next season.
Yeah. I think what you said with it that all these secondary characters became more important than
Yeah.
Andor himself. I think that that's kind of how the season went, right? I mean,
Mm.
even in the season finale, he was much a spectator of what was going on around him rather
Mm.
than being the driving force that you would kind of think. The show's named
Mm.
after him, so he should be the the biggest protagonist, and he wasn't even in his own show. He spent a lot of the times hiding, and then he did bust out Bix out of the prison at the end, and then kind of prostrated himself to Luthen to
Mm-hmm.
join the rebellion, even after Luthen was trying to or going to kill him the entire
Well,
episode.
I mean, yeah, and that's the thing, because he's a savvy guy. He knows that what that's why he was there for. He was there to get killed.
Yeah.
Um, so he's kind of offered him. He's like, look, I can join. You don't have to kill me. I can join up. And I think that is probably, by doing that, Andor's taking himself off the board as a risk to the rebellion, because at that stage he knew who some of the key players were,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why they're killing him. They're not killing him because, hey, you know what, the show's named after him. They're killing him for a reason. The reason is he knows, who the contact in Coruscant is. He knows, the leader of the group that took the Imperial funds from.
Mm.
So, in true Star Wars style, this stuff would have just been like you could walk in somewhere and just tell them these things, and they just pick them up. Because Star Wars never goes a great way of explaining the finer details, as I mentioned last time. Like, how do you get from there? Just stuff just happens.
And you're kind of meant to just kind of think that some of this stuff happens in between episodes, where you think some of it should be shown. Like for the character note beats. Like we want to see those moments that Andor changes his philosophy or something, or changes as a person, as opposed to in between episodes, and like while he's in the prison versus when he gets out of the prison, and then he fast forwards to going back to the other planet to get his stuff.
Yeah.
And, some of that stuff I kind of want to see.
I want to see him read the book. I want to see him to read the book and buy into it.
I want to have him have those moments where he's having those realizations of this is not about me anymore, right? Because I mean, he starts off the season as like a super self-involved, self-interested, selfish character, and at the end, when he offers himself to the rebellion, it's not about him anymore, right?
You think?
So
see, I don't. This is the much ado about nothing thing. He knows that Luthen is there.
Yeah.
There you go. He's there to kill him. He knows that.
Yeah.
Andor also knows that the noose is tightening, whether it be Luthen, whether it be the blonde chick who was running the raid.
It's like Deidre or something, and then
or if
Cyril,
it's
Cyril's looking for him.
Yeah, and then the Imperials are looking for him. 2 lots of Imperials, by the way. He knows the noose is tightening, so the only way to get out of Hawk is to actually sign up with somebody, and he's decided to go with Luthen, because he was the most immediate threat. At this stage, I don't think Andor is any selfless than he was in episode 1. He is still looking out for number 1. The only reason he went back to this planet was to get his mum. His mum's not there anymore. He's bugging out. That's it. I think the transition is going to be in the next couple of seasons, because I mean in Rogue One, for example, he is absolutely selfless. He's like, right, we're going to raid the planet, we're going to get the data, boom, and off he goes. He breaks ranks to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still in mercenary territory.
Well, I want to commend the creators of the show for finally, I think, introducing fully 3-dimensional characters into Star Wars, because I feel like one-dimensional has been kind of the way to go, right?
Yeah.
You have your good guys, you have your bad guys, and that's it. And and then this show, I'm just like, the good guys could be just as bad as the bad guys, and for the most part, I mean, Luthen, who you would think would be, I mean, it's like the founder of the rebellion, but he's just as bad, and he realizes that, and I keep going back to that speech he made in episode 10, where the sacrifices that he made, and something about he's there to create a sunrise he knows he's never going to see, and I thought that was a great line.
It's perfect. Yeah, it kind of sums up perfectly. I mean, we forget in all of this that the Empire, whether we love the Empire or we hate the Empire, it is the legitimate government of the universe.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of, we're inciting rebellion. There's still some flaws. It's not perfect. The pace is still a bit wonky. There still isn't a lot of aliens kicking around. Oh, sorry, non-humans, whatever.
You're right. I mean, that's been one of my biggest strengths.
You've got to think to yourself, sooner or later, there's plenty of well-established aliens within the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Whether it be the Mon Cal, whether it be the Wookiees, whether it be Weequays, whatever it is, there's plenty of them kicking around the place.
You'd think maybe that they kept this season mostly dealing with humanoid characters intentionally, So when we get into season 2 and season 3, and you start seeing more of the overall, big picture of the universe or the galaxy, you start seeing, maybe they bring in some alien characters then. But I don't know if I'm giving them too much credit.
We'll see. The budget's got to go somewhere, right?
Hey, I think the show is beautiful. It's very, very decent, good looking show. So
I think it looks great. I agree with you. When I watch the show, I forget it's a TV show. I'm in movie mode. I've got popcorn going on.
Yep.
Got a hot dog on the side. The whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like it feels like a movie experience. And even though the overall plot is bogged down in pace, as I mentioned before,
right?
There have been episodes when the 40-minute mark comes up and it ends. I'm like, what?
Yep.
What? When? What? Yeah,
yep.
I didn't start my Coke yet. Come on, man. But you see, it feels cinematic, and I think it feels more cinematic than, say, The Mandalorian.
Yeah. The Mandalorian seems like it's easily digestible in 30-minute bites.
Well, that's because it's the same episode every time. I want this. Well, you can have this, but you must do this first.
Right. That's more like the video game mode.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
cool.
All right, so let's get away from the Andor. Where we don't have anything Star Wars coming up until next year now, so we're done for the year.
Oh, it's not Christmas without Star Wars.
Yeah, well, we have Mandalorian, I believe, coming in March, season 3. So
how are we going to do that without Baby Yoda anyway?
No, they brought back Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's back. Do you remember the end of Boba Fett? End of Book of Boba Fett. Baby Yoda is back with Mandalorian. So
really?
Yep.
Why?
He made the choice. He chose to leave Luke and stay with Mandalorian. So
there you go.
Yeah, you missed it. You have to go back and watch the end of Book of Boba Fett.
Really? Because I've heard some really dodgy things about that. Maybe can I just watch the last episode and be done with it?
Yeah, just watch the last episode. You'll be all caught up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special that dropped last week. This was just such a fun. I didn't know what to expect. Well, I guess I did know what to expect, but I was kind of expecting something campy on the lines of the Star Wars Holiday Christmas special from 50 years ago.
And you kind of started like that?
Did kind of start like that. The first scene on Nowhere where Drax and Mantis were talking about what they wanted to get for Peter for Christmas, that very much looked like a stage set, didn't it? I was just watching it going.
It looked all like a stage set. To be fair,
I was waiting for the celebrity walk on. So we did get the musical number right up front, which I thought was fantastic. And then of course the big plot where this is very Guardians of the Galaxy, but the big main players in this is Drax and Mantis, right? So they end up going to Earth to get Peter a Christmas present.
As you do.
Chaos ensues with the abduction of one Kevin Bacon to bring back to give to Peter as a gift. And, of course, everything goes wrong from then. The one thing that I thought, and I read after this, you saw Groot through this entire episode?
Yeah, he's buff, isn't he? He's buff Groot.
Yeah, he's more like young adult Groot. I thought it was a dude in a suit the entire time. I thought they put someone in a foam suit to walk around.
I thought it was. Was it not? Was it CGI?
It was CGI throughout. I looked it up later and I was like, wow, it was CGI. That fooled me, and that usually doesn't fool me.
That was piss poor CGI because it just looked like a bloke in a suit.
Well, hey, I definitely thought he was actually right there next to the guy that was actually there. So it fooled me.
Okay, so
I guess we have different versions of what good CGI is.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. That's a fair shout. You see good CGI, you want to be part of the I suppose environment.
It was well. It was. I mean, what think? I think Jar Jar and Phantom Menace. Like I knew he wasn't there the entire time. That they just
Yeah,
put him in post production.
but then
There, I thought he was actually there when they were filming it. So it's fooled me.
all right, okay, cool, excellent.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it was. It's just a bit of daft. However, there are a couple of things that the Grinch in me has to bring out.
Oh, please do.
So they head to Earth, and they are looking for Kevin Bacon, and they have that bit where they see Steve, and it's not Steve, and Steve does a runner. So that implies that the people on Earth know that Captain America is a movie, not a real thing. So therefore, if Captain America is a movie, they would have seen Avengers Endgame. So therefore, they would know who Drax and Mantis were. So if that was the case, why was everyone scared of them after the event?
Oh, I see. So nope, Captain America was actually, remember they did the stage show and everything, and
yeah, but but that's in Hawkeye's world as well. Remember, so they should know who Drax and Mantis are if they know who Captain America is. Excuse me. So that bit, I was kind of like, what? That doesn't track. I can see why. It's a funny punchline. Yay, great. But the set with your jokes wrong.
Well, they spent just as much time taking pictures with the fans on the street.
But they're just as cosplayers, not as Drax and Mantis.
Yeah.
So the other thing, I mean, that's the Grinch in me coming out. The thing that I enjoyed the most was Nebula's present to Rocket.
What was the present again? I'm sorry.
It was Bucky's arm, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, right. I did get a giggle out of that.
And you're kind of like, that just brings a whole like, what? What? Exactly. So hopefully that gets picked up at some point. But overall, it was a bit of daft. It was what Christmas is all about, family and putting the effort in to get the cool present and stuff like that to make sure someone's happy and stuff.
It actually felt festive to me. Like it felt like I was like, wow, if I don't see any other Christmas special this year, I think I like this one. And I think that's kind of what they were going for. Is it needs to feel like the holidays.
Well, I can't say anything. We're going to have our Christmas movie marathon soon, which includes, for everyone who naysays, it includes Die Hard and it includes Batman Returns, because both of those are Christmas movies. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
I keep trying to make my son watch Die Hard with me around the holidays, and he just can't sit through it. And I'm just like, wow.
Of course, this isn't the only Guardians news, is it? We've had the trailer for Guardians 3.
Yeah, we had Guardians 3 trailer drop. And there was some nice little nuggets in that. They had like some nice little character reveals, and we kind of know what the plot of the movie is now. And
could you tell me? Because I watched that trailer, I was like, man, this is just noise.
Oh, okay. You wanted this? So this is my brain working, right? So the big plot line of the movie is Rocket's sick, right? Rocket's dying, and they need to bring him to. They're trying to save him, right? So they bring him to his planet of origin, right?
Which because he's a raccoon.
Well, but let's think for a second. I believe it's alternate Earth because the villain in the movie is high evolutionary. Do you remember these stories from Adam Warlock?
Yeah, I do.
So we have Warlock here, we have high evolutionary here, and from the look on the first scenes is all these animal people. High evolutionary made animal people, so high evolutionary therefore made Rocket Raccoon, right? So that's a little change to the actual MCU. But I think it's a neat little change.
Excuse me.
But the overall, just the emotion that I got out of that trailer, where you had it looked like Rocket was dying. It looked like Peter was trying to sacrifice himself to save Rocket. You didn't really get that they showed high evolutionary in the trailer, but you didn't really get that was him. and then of course introducing Adam Warlock. You kind of saw him in the trailer. I hope he looks better in the actual movie because it just looked like he had grease paint on. Did it? And
Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, the film doesn't come out till next year, so it's still
we still get 6 months, right? So I mean, it's coming out in May, but it looks fantastic. And this definitely is an end. There's no Guardians 4 because James Gunn he's already taken a job as president of Disney's film stuff, right? So
not Disney's, DC's, isn't it?
You know what I meant, DC. Yeah, if it was Disney, we wouldn't worry about it. But this is his last hurrah. We knew that it was going to be the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie over a year ago because Dave Bautista had said he was done playing Drax after this, and
was Good involved in Guardians too?
He was. Yes, because it was all that stuff that came out online with him was in between Guardians 2 and 3. That's why we haven't had Guardians 3
for quite some time.
It was supposed to come out back around Avengers Endgame, right?
All right, so I'm going to say I'm going to be the Neggy Nelly in the room again. I thought Guardians 2 was terrible. I absolutely disliked it immensely. And to back that up, I also hate the Suicide Squad. The first one, I don't mind the first one as daft as it is.
You didn't like the second one? I thought the second one was great.
Did not like the second one at all. I am not dialed into James Gunn's sense of humor. And
did you not watch Peacemaker?
I haven't seen it all. I dropped out episode 4. I was like,
wow.
I was like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just not getting it. I am that person. So there you go. Sorry.
Okay. But you like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
I like the first Guardians a lot because I like the first Guardians and I like the first Thor a lot because both movies exceed my expectations. Both because you're kind of like, oh, this is going to be Thor, it's going to be pants. Yeah, and the level of humor in Thor, the first one, is pitched perfectly.
Yes.
And then from that point on, it's like, oh, it can do comedy, so let's make everything comedy. And you're like, doesn't work now. Doesn't work. Same with Guardians. The first Guardians, the idea that they're thrown together and somehow have to survive together creates the friction, creates the fun. By episode 2, and yeah, I know Rocket's giving it all like he's challenged because she wants to leave away because that's in Endgame. He wants to be away, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. They're a family by that point. And I know families argue, but it's like, well, we know there's no real dynamic to it all, and I'm done. I didn't enjoy 2 at all.
So are you tentatively looking forward to Volume 3, or are you?
I will go and see 3 at the cinema, predominantly because my wife really liked number 1. Mm-hmm. She's like me; she didn't get number 2 at all. She thought it was just noise. But we sat down together to watch the Christmas special. So, we'll go to the pictures to see it. I've got more interest in seeing that than Wakanda Forever, which I still haven't seen. So there you go.
Well, I'm sure it'll be on Disney Plus within the next couple of weeks. So
yeah, I can avoid it there as much easy as avoid it going to the pictures.
All right.
I can't believe how long it was. I was going to go after the last pod. I said, I texted my wife. I was like, hey, why don't we go and watch Wakanda Forever? We've got a local cinema, the Regent, that's just reopened after a refurb. And we're like, yeah, we haven't been. We'll go down to the cinema. So I Googled the times, got a time perfect. It's on for like 3 days. It's bonkers.
Yeah. No, it was a long movie. And, and that's what I'll say about it. It was long. There were some moments. Hey, so we got the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer out of the Brazilian Comic-Con that happened over the week. But they dropped another trailer. That I know. This is going to be this is a Lucasfilm / Disney property, so we should talk about it.
It's the Man in the Hat is back.
What did you think about it? I was watching it and I was like, okay, this looks good. Harrison Ford's like 80 years old now. How are they going to do this? And then you see the CGI, and you're like, oh, it's a time travel movie.
I don't know. I can't. I interviewed a guy a couple of times recently on Outside the Panels, and he was a visual director on the movie. And I was pimping him for information. He wouldn't give anything up. God damn it!
No.
But I saw the trailer, and I remember being really excited about Kingdom of Lost Skulls, and then
yeah,
I went to the movie, and then I was like, yeah, that'll teach me to be excited about a movie again. So I have all the respect in the world for Harrison Ford, absolutely, totally. Getting up to do it again, I'm all right with that. Is he using the whip or is it a CGI whip? Well, of course it's a CGI whip. Of course it is. What else can it be? You know, he's not flinging that whip around left, right, and centre. Then they've got the de-aging process going on. I worry that the CGI Indy will be a lot more flexible in action than the real life Indy, and that's going to detract and distract my eye.
Right.
I think there's a scene where they're going in two cars and he pulls back and pulls himself out of the way in time, and then you see him in the scene where he's flipping the whip and he looks like crotchy, like a stiff wind would blow him out. So you kind of like.
I think it's going to be in the time travel, right? It's going to be a stuntman with Indy's face CGI'd on it, correct? Hopefully. I mean, it's not going to be Harrison Ford doing his own stunts like he did in the other.
Well, hey, just remember that's what they did that with Captain Marvel. That was Samuel L. Jackson's body with a young Samuel L. Jackson face who couldn't walk more than 10 yards. So.
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I think that this is going to be the next generation of the second season of Mandalorian, where we had Luke come back, right? And that the CGI was a bit wonky, like you say, at the first, but then when they bring back Luke later, it looks much better. So that they're learning as they go, and I think that this whatever technology they're using for the face, I think it's going to look much better. It looked great in the trailer, so to the point that when I first watched the trailer, I didn't even notice that it was a young Harrison Ford. I was like, It didn't even occur to me, and then I was like, oh, that's a CGI young Indy, or older in adult Indy, not senior citizen Indy.
This is why time travel gives me a headache.
Right. So the only other I guess rip that I'll give on that trailer is the title's a little stupid. It's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which makes no sense to me.
Maybe it's a mobile thing. Yeah, maybe it's maybe it's a cell phone. Dial of Destiny. Maybe it's one of those. Maybe it's one of those radio quizzes where he's like they've rang him up and he's the 103rd caller or something, so he has to say the phrase that pays to win some money.
Or be setting time travel device to 1956. Oh, let's see. All right, so let's take a break, and then we'll come back and hey, maybe we'll talk some comics. And speaking about comics, why don't we check out The Definitive Crusade?
Hey.
All right. Make sure to check out the Definitive Crusade on alternate Tuesdays from when No Prize drops. So
Wednesdays.
alternate Wednesdays. Excuse me.
And
Sorry.
also award for the longest advert on UCPN goes
Yeah.
to the Definitive Crusade.
It's
Great.
because there's so many hosts that you have to.
Well, yeah, but not all of them turn up at the same time. So.
Well, I guess that Johnny, we can get commendated for our consistency.
Yes, that's
Yes.
it. Don't call me the machine for any reason whatsoever.
All right, so we're gonna talk some comics, if we would, and we are, I have a long-standing reputation of panning Jason Aaron's Avengers work, and I'm not gonna stop here.
Yay! You'll be pleased to know this week it was announced he's leaving, right?
It was announced a month or so ago that he was actually leaving, and so this is his swan song story, shall we call it? Yes. So this is the beginning of the end for the Jason Aaron stretch of Avengers, and this is Avengers Assemble Alpha, which, as we do.
Why? My question is why? This falls firmly within the remit of that Avengers Forever book that we hate. The follow-on from this is in the Avengers regular series. So why couldn't this just be Avengers?
Yeah. Well, all right. So I'll give credit where credit is due, or blame where blame is due. So we have Jason Aaron. The art is by Brian Hitch, Andrew Curry, and Alex Sinclair. We have VC's Corey Pettit on letters. And then the editors to blame is Martin Biro, Annalise Bisa, and Tom Brevoort. So the title of this book is The Battle a Million Years in the Making, and it feels like the battle a million issues in the making. And to me, I just can't wait for the end of this story, because it means an end, right?
Hope so.
This book, and of course, I don't know how much it costs. How much is this? $5.99. Your $5.99 is dropped down on this, 48-page battle issue, which basically that's what it is. It's the Avengers show up on a team, and then they end up meeting the Million-Year Avengers, and they fight. And then they fight until 5 pages before the book ends, and then the multiversal Masters of Evil show up that have been running around for the last year or so, and then they fight, and that's the end of the book. So they do introduce the multiversal Avengers at the end of this, that have been being introduced slowly but surely in Avengers Forever, which is the other sister book to Avengers for the last year. The funny thing is some of these characters that show up in the multiversal Avengers are not characters that have yet appeared in Avengers Forever, which to me was, well, what's the point? So anyhow, this book, and the saving grace is it actually has Avengers in it. And the story is basically they finally introduced Avenger Prime in the first couple of pages. And to the surprise of no one, we don't yet know who it is. But they show him in his, do you want to call it his Sanctum Sanctorum at the Avengers Tower that's at Infinity's End? Which is weird, because you think Infinity's End, I remember seeing this in the Loki TV show, don't you?
Yeah, well, there's another show I dropped off on.
Well, at the end of this is where Kang was living, was at kind of like the end of all things, really. So that to me is, hey, we have an Avengers Tower here that the Avenger Prime is living in, and he's got apparently all of the Avengers gimmicks and doodads, like Captain America's shield and all the hammers of Thor and helmets and whatever he feels like wearing, or is it whatever Avenger he feels like becoming. He ends up wearing the helmet and walking through the cinematic Doctor Strange teleportation portal, and ends up immediately confronting Mephisto. And they don't immediately get into a fight, but it's kind of funny that they have Armani suits at the end of the end of all things. But my guess, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that this is Rick Jones.
Really?
I'm good. That's my guess. I'm guessing.
Well, it's got Loki vibes going on with the green suit.
It could be Loki.
I think it's Jarvis.
Okay, I didn't even think Jarvis. I think Rick Jones, because they've showed in the past that Rick Jones has that mental thing going, like in the Kree-Skrull War when he was able to pull all those heroes out of his head. So there
is something cosmic about Rick Jones. He is affiliated with so many different heroes.
Yes,
across the Marvel universe. So if you're going to say there's a non-heroic linchpin to the Marvel universe, your logic would say it would be Rick Jones.
So I'm gonna make that leap and call it. I'm calling it. But anyway,
Jarvis, I'm going Team Jarvis.
All right, Team Jarvis. So I'm sure. I guess we're going to be talking about Avengers Assemble for the next couple months. So this book, they introduce Avenger Prime. We know that Mephisto's the big bad because Mephisto's been the big bad forever since the book started. We have this Avengers team, which they have a nice big splash page on page 10 of all the Avengers that are going to be in this story. And some of these Avengers, like they have Nighthawk, Submariner, Phoenix, and Valkyrie and Starbrand, where you're just like, a lot of these characters have not had a chance to have any kind of a spotlight, right? I mean, they did redo the team, so no more Black Panther, no She-Hulk. It's just I don't care about this lineup because they didn't get enough screen time for me in the book. So to me, they have that splash page followed by the second two splash pages of the Million Year Avengers, who I also don't care about because there's things in here that just make me question everything that I've ever read about Marvel. Because we have a Hulk that's apparently been around for 1 million years, the Starbrand that's been around for 1 million years, Iron Fist that's been around for 1 million years, Odin I buy. I buy.
Phoenix I buy. Yeah, I buy Phoenix because
Phoenix, Ghost Rider, riding a mammoth, and of course these characters have been around since the first issue of Jason Aaron's run of Avengers. So it's almost like you have to accept them at this point. But the fact of the matter is, I just cannot get past the fact that Odin is wielding Mjolnir before Thor is even born. And Odin, we know that Odin crafted Mjolnir for Thor. And that's the one thing I can't get over. Well, there's a lot of things I can't get over, but that's one of the big ones.
Marvel's just going to tout out the whole multiversal element again. But you're right. I think characters like Odin and Phoenix, maybe not so much Ghost Rider for me, but those two characters should transcend the multiverse. There should be one Odin because he's the All Father.
Yep.
And there should be one Phoenix because she's the life force of the universe. That's it. I don't think you can get away with saying, "Oh, look, there's this Phoenix and that Phoenix and that Phoenix." I know they split the power between other people before, but in my head, if you're an All Father, one.
Well, here's and I know you just saw it. You said the multiverse. Like they'll say that this is a different universe as Odin or a different universe as Phoenix. But in the body of this story, when the multiversal Masters of Evil attack, they say we need to destroy the 616 Marvel universe. To which, to me, these are all the 616 Avengers, and the Million Year BC Avengers are 616 characters.
Okay.
So that, I know. I had to reread this to make sure before I was getting angry about the fact that Mjolnir, the other thing. So, and this is to cement the fact that this Mjolnir that Odin is wielding is Mjolnir, is that Valkyrie takes Mjolnir in the middle of the story,
Yeah,
and that's I'm
come to
just like,
mama.
yeah, come to mama. So I'm just like, okay, this is just it's too much for me, and I think that there's too many characters. Jason Aaron's run on Thor, don't get me wrong, was epic. I loved his Thor run, and I don't know if there's just too many characters running around in here for even him to keep straight.
Yeah.
And the complaints that I've had before about the the dilution of the brands of all the different heroes by introducing 700 different Iron Men, Thors, Hulks. It just smacks to me of, hey, so some of these characters may at some point turn up on Disney Plus, and I want to make sure I get some kind of executive producer credit.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts to think of that. We see this Echo, who they've already introduced in the Hawkeye show, now has the Phoenix Force. So I know that they're thinking, well, maybe we can introduce the Phoenix and before we introduce the X-Men, and I'm just like, come on. So Mephisto, who you generally I like as a villain, he's always supposed to be kind of like behind the scenes type, pulling the strings. And here, where they make him almost the multiversal Mephistos, because you see a million different Mephistos on that end up coming out to fight Avenger Prime, and it's, to me, this whole book ends up being just a lot of bodies drawn on the page and fighting each other, and you don't really know what's happening towards the end. And then when they introduce the multiversal Avengers at the end of this book, you're past the point of caring, right?
Yeah, well, to me, I agree with you on 100% on this, by the way. I picked this book up to review for Crusaders, and I flicked through it. I was like, my mum used to say to me, if I can't say anything good, don't say anything at all. So I put the book back. There you go.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not writing this review.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm done. I can't write, and then you go and pick the damn thing. And so do a couple of things. Right, I'll start with the good things. All right. I like the monologue at the start and how they managed to weave Jason Aaron weaves in there. But this was a day unlike any other, which is a nod to the whole
Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of like that bit. That gave me a bit of a smile. The problem is, as well as the bonkers script, that story-wise it goes nowhere because it is just a 48-page battle royal. You've got Brian Hitch on art. Now, I remember when he was on Justice League, and I didn't like him much on Justice League. And here, I absolutely dislike him massively. I've picked this page. Well, there's 2 pages I want to pick up, and both of them are Captain Marvel centric. So apologies if anyone's sick of me banging on about how good Captain Marvel could be. But this is supposed to be Carol Danvers. Now, Carol Danvers is a pretty statuesque lady. She looks like a kid there. And I know there's supposed to be an incline, but
she looks like an action figure.
Yeah, even is that Nighthawk next to her?
Yes, that's Nighthawk. Yeah.
You can see Nighthawk at the same level she is when he's crouched down, is at her chest.
Yeah.
Talking of her chest, I know that.
And behind her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the perspective's all up.
I mean, I know the boobs aren't symmetrical. I am a man of the world. I have got grey hair. I've been around. But there is no way that one boob is that big and then the other boob is that small.
Does it look like he drew this and then maybe forgot to put Captain Marvel in the picture and just kind of throw her in the front?
I think, you know what? I think that's a really good shout, because I'm going to jump to page 22. That is not Captain Marvel. The top panel there. Oh. Look how broad her back is.
Yeah, that's
it's supposed to be Captain. It's colored and drawn like as it's Captain Marvel, but that is not a female body shape in any shape, way, or form.
Yeah.
Now, the knock on Hitch when he was on Justice League was that he would use, at least in my opinion, when he drew Batman, he would draw Batman from the movies. And it would change which one it was. Was it the Keaton Batman? Was it the Clooney Batman? Was it the Bale Batman? It would change throughout the thing. Same with these Superman, same with these Wonder Woman.
You think
I
it's
don't.
like the photo references he might
Yeah,
be using?
exactly.
Yeah. All
I
right.
don't think there's enough photo references to help Hitch on this book, and that's why the art looks so wonky.
Yeah.
Throw in the Jason Aaron stuff. DC have been running Justice Incarnate, which is the multiverse version of the Justice League, for over a year now,
Hmm.
and that's coming to an end with the recently in a couple of event books. I know that once one does one, everything follows. You know, trends beget trends, and so on. But I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the multiverse. I'm done.
It's
I want my set of characters. And I know that sounds really selfish, and I'm always complaining that they don't do new things, but they should do new things. You know, at least the Captain America book. You know, you've got a Falcon Captain America, and you've got Steve Captain America.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
at least try something different. This is just, you know, every publisher is doing multiverse stuff. It's got to stop. It's
the
not fun anymore.
and the one thing that this has lent to is the you end up with this Doctor Doom, right? The Doom above all, or
Oh,
you
don't even
have
get me
the
started.
the all rider, and
Ugh.
the even like even in Al Ewing's Hulk, it was like the the Hulk above all, whatever the heck. Venom was the Venom above all of the King
Yeah,
Kull or whatever. Everything was like the biggest version of this ultimate character, and I'm like, okay, so Doctor Doom just isn't good enough anymore. You need
yeah.
to have the Doom above all, who is just so much a level of magnitude higher than the regular character to make you
Mm,
feel like it's a real threat. Because Doctor Doom doesn't sound like a real threat anymore. I'm like,
no.
to me, and of course this whole multiversal Masters of Evil, that whole team, right? That whole
Mm.
team is like the Doom above all, the Green Goblin above all, the Venom above all, the Wolverine and the Phoenix. I'm like, come on. So now you have Dark Phoenix, you have regular Phoenix on either side of this confrontation. So you're gonna have Phoenixes going against each other.
I just
You know,
for me,
it's
it's just. I mean, Ghost
young
Goblin, Ghost
young,
Goblin.
young Thanos. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. But I think Aaron's needs to dial it back. But of course, as you say, it's his swan song, so hopefully we don't have to put up with it for that much longer.
So these are like the versions of these characters that maybe at some point show up in the next Avengers movie, you know?
Well, hold
Uh,
on, didn't? Well, where was I? In the Daredevil book, Devil's Reign, didn't they bring it? They brought in like a an octopus version of everybody, didn't they? Remember, it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Doctor
Like
Ghost Octopus and
like the Sinister
Wolverine
Six, yeah?
Octopus. Yeah,
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 it
yeah,
was, yeah, yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah. And the Hulk Octopus and the Ghost
yeah,
Rider.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like, to me, it's like this isn't even a brand new idea.
Well, they
I
did
mean,
the whole thing in Infinity that they did a couple of years ago. They did the Infinity War or something. They redid that, and it was all mishmash characters. So
and there's Black Skull. Fair enough, I get the Hydra thing, but it's Venom. It's Venom. Now, surely there's like Venom stuff going on in the Spider-Man book by Dan Slott, because that's a Spider-Man multiversal story.
yep.
I'm like, come on, guys, please get your dominoes in a row, please. Yeah, this is getting a little bit convoluted. And although comics aren't supposed to always make sense, this makes zero sense. So you'll be
Yeah.
pleased he's leaving then.
Oh, I'm pleased he's leaving. I am so looking forward to the next creator, whoever it is, to just put something. I mean, the way that I'm looking at it is, how much worse could it get? To me,
Well, you
to me,
say that,
I know, I say that, but it's like, I'd be careful what I wish for, right?
yeah, because I mean, the change writers on the Hulk, and look how bad that's been. The bloody robot Hulk, for Christ's sakes, you know.
I can't believe, and I like Donny Cates, but I don't know why they're going that direction.
I don't
So
know.
anyway,
Our
yeah,
last book.
yeah. Let's talk about X-Men for once.
Yeah, okay, so this was my choice. This is X-Men 17. It's been out a couple of weeks, and there's something in this book that made me pick this. Excuse me. It's written by Jerry Duggan, art by Joshua Cassara, colours by Guru EFX, letters by VC Clayton Cowles, editors are Jordan D. White, and editor-in-chief is, of course, CB Sobulski. One of the biggest things about the X-Men has been this whole resurrection malarkey that goes on with them. And we've seen it happen to the main heroes. It takes away the idea of any sort of ramifications. Recently, we've seen it impact on humankind with the resurrection of
Captain America.
Captain America, which I will watch live on the pod. This storyline harks back to an issue about 2 years ago, basically. Three mutants who were who had the strength to survive all kinds of things. Darwin can adapt his body to take on all sorts of threats. The X-23 Wolverine was in there because she's got the healing powers and stuff like that. Were sent into the vault to find out the secrets. Time works differently in the vault, and when they came back, Wolverine got left behind and has subsequently been resurrected. Okay, cool. Lo and behold, in the last issue, Forge finds out that X-23, the original, or possibly not original, well, one that they thought was dead, is actually alive. So this brings up an interesting idea in the fact that they've resurrected a mutant that's not actually dead. So that breaks one of the covenants of the Krakoa resurrection process. What's that going to mean? Who knows? But through all this, you've got Forge and Caliban, a suit of Caliban, kind of arguing. And I like the idea because Forge's good intentions are always paved with disaster. Remember, it was Forge that created the mutant power killer gun that stripped Storm of her powers way back when.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
back in 1984. If you're
well,
keeping track.
I know this stuff. See, I'm an old timer at heart. So Forge has the reputation of doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, or something along those lines. And in here, he just wants to get out. He's not here to save X-23. He's here to save Darwin. Darwin himself points him in the right direction, and eventually, he makes the right choice and he saves X-23. Brings X-23 out of the vault, and lo and behold, they have this cool reunion with old Darwin. So now we've got old Lady Wolverine as well as Darwin. Both characters are resurrected. Both characters shouldn't be.
Now that character's not Darwin, is it? Isn't that character Sync? That's Sync, isn't it?
Is it not? It's not Darwin? Am I getting it wrong?
So. You're getting it wrong.
Am I getting it wrong? There you go. Too many mutants. So there you go. So Sync. So I stand by it. Wolverine shouldn't have been resurrected, which then brings up all sorts of connotations down the line.
Yeah, but, I mean that's something actually that was lost on me in this issue because they didn't show when was X-23 resurrected? Yeah, like originally resurrected. I knew she was in the vault, but I don't. Yeah, well, hey, I like that angle on the story because that's been one of the biggest pain points for me in this whole new X-Men universe is the fact that death doesn't mean anything. And now we're getting kind of the ramifications from that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it only took us, 5 years to get there?
Yeah.
So.
But as I think, and this is the problem, I think, with the X-Men, including the Axe miniseries or long series, whatever you want to call it, there's no interaction with the Marvel Universe anymore, really. They're their own thing. And you kind of think to yourself, if you're into it, great, knock yourself out. But no, even the script that's even the script's heavy-handed. He said, I think I think Forge says something to Darwin when they're in the vault dream space. There it is. You're a brave mutant. Well, why can't I just say you're a brave person?
Right.
Yeah. Then that why do you have to, you try to tell me that mutants are different from humans. Fine, get it. I've been reading comics for a while. I know the idea behind it. But they don't do anything with the idea anymore. It's like we're going to exist. We coexist by having our own land. We're not going to intermingle. We're not going to interact. We're going to keep ourselves as Homo superior in action as well as in face value. I just think there's too many X-books across the range that there cannot be more. There cannot be less interaction with the Marvel Universe. With that many X-books, you've got this, you've got Red, you've got Exterminators, you've got Wolverine, you've got mutants, New Mutants. Yeah.
There should be mutants everywhere then. And
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, right? But they're not.
No.
Crazy. The only other thing I'd say about this book is, regardless of the production values, which are extremely high, I don't like the fact that every X-book looks like itself.
Oh yeah, I can't keep track of them. I don't know which book is which, and it doesn't help that all the characters interconnect and appear in the other books. So I have no idea.
But why do they interconnect? Because they don't interact with the Marvel Universe. So
right, so they interact with themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. So the art styles look very similar. The lettering is always the same lettering. It's the X font, created by Clayton Cowles. And I think that kind of, sucks a little bit. I want to see some differential. At least this is when Segura was on X-Force, it looked different.
Yeah.
But now, no.
It's just generic. Everything is generic.
And we don't talk about X-Men because there are no massive ramifications to anything else. It is pretty much a closed universe. It might as well be Epic Comics that produced this, not Marvel Comics.
Yeah, I mean, if we talk about X-Men, X-Force, Marauders, New Mutants, I couldn't tell you which characters. I couldn't tell you the lineups in each book. I couldn't tell you because I don't think they know.
Yeah, isn't there a reading? I think there's a reading chart at the end of this book.
Yeah, like what's next? It's almost like the triangles in Superman from 40 years ago.
Feel so old when you say things like that. There you go. Right, so you've got X-Force, X-Men, New Mutants, Exterminators, Immortal X-Men, Wolverine, X-Force, X-Men Red, Dark Web tie-in, Deadpool. Is that Deadpool?
Yep,
Legion of X.
Legion of X, yeah.
And then background. It's like, man, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different books there because Wolverine's on it twice. 11 books. I'm not buying 11 books a month across Marvel, DC, and indie books. I'm certainly not going to be buying 11 bloody X books.
No.
Crazy.
No, me neither. It is, and it's like, yeah, maybe it's like, what kind of ice cream flavor do you want? But it's all vanilla to me. It is not any kind of special book that stands out from the rest of them as being a great book, because X-Men should be your flagship great book, and it's not. I'm not reading a book with Forge as the main character, and that's my X-Men.
That's a good shout. Yeah, as much as, again, he's kind of like that Rick Jones pivotal person, isn't he? The fact that stuff evolves around Forge doesn't mean you're going to rush out to buy a Forge special one shot and like. Crazy. But no, if they're losing Aaron's on Avengers, I think the gig's up on Krakoa. I think it is. I think we need to.
Well, we do have the Fall of X storyline coming quite soon, so we'll see. Maybe that's the end of that story, right? Maybe it is, and then we can get on to maybe a more focused team. Maybe they could have another Genosha where they get rid of half the cast.
Well, I think the Fall of X would be a great idea because if you think about it, they've set themselves up as the sovereign state and all that sort of stuff. If it falls down, and then they have to go sort of like hat in hand to the rest of the world, and there's going to be ramifications. We don't trust mutants, blah blah blah. Some of them will sign with the government to get kind of safety somewhere, so therefore that becomes your X Factor type government effect type of thing going on. You've got the rebellious X-Force who think, no, we're going to maintain our standard and whatever. And then you've got the X-Men trying to curb both like the bridges. So theoretically, you could move away from Krakoa, take away that kind of power base, and the mutants have to deal with everybody else on a level playing field. Because nobody else has this. Nobody else has their own. You know, Spider-Man doesn't have like, right, Manhattan's my base, nobody touch Manhattan, you know, and vice versa across the Avengers. The Avengers are, as we've just talked about, multiversal, they're not just New York. So for me, I don't, it's this, I don't know. I suppose it's a societal element of how we view the metaphor. Has the metaphor grown too large,
right,
or too unwieldy for the X-Men to continue to act? Because what we're essentially saying here is, if you want to use that metaphor continually, is that one group of people should have their own sovereign state and not intermix with everybody else. And I don't think that was the original metaphor that was used to create the X-Men.
Can you imagine if they did the multiversal X-Men like they do in the Avengers? Like there would be 7 million characters that's going on in the X-Men. Good luck with that.
Cyclops would just have one eye in the middle of his head.
I just gave the writers at Marvel something to do.
Oh no.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for this episode of No Prize Podcast, and be with us for next time for what is probably going to be our Christmas episode and the final No Prize Podcast for 2022.
Oh,
and then we will ring in 2023. Yeah.
I'm sad.
So until then, be safe, and see you in a fortnight.
Adios.